And up first, we have Jessica Bussard, who is going to tell us all about Wave Therapeutics. She is an RN by training and background and the founder and CEO of the company. So welcome, Jessica.
Thank you so much, Dr. Richardson. I appreciate your time. Would you like me to share my screen now?
That would be great.
Great. Here we go. So, hello. My name is Jessica Bussard. I'm a lifelong technologist, an emergency room nurse, and the founder of Wave Therapeutics. The genesis for this whole project came about years ago when I was working in a small town ER and a disabled vet came into my unit suffering from the worst bed sores I'd ever seen. The guy was poor and his doctor had prescribed a bunch of costly treatment options that he just couldn't afford. His story really touched me and it motivated me to use my technical and healthcare skills to create a more effective solution that would be affordable to anyone who needed it. So this slide kind of says it all. Each year, 60,000 Americans die from bed sores and they impact the lives of 3 million more. Bed sores cost the US economy over $10 billion annually and are a huge source of business liability to long-term and acute care facilities. This liability takes the form of increased hospital stays, reduced reimbursements, and crippling malpractice lawsuits. Existing solutions just don't work. Manual methods are costly, prone to injury, and ineffective. Static cushions made of foam, gel, or air are little more than the chair cushion you're sitting on right now. They are expensive and provide more poor lateral stability. Most importantly, they just don't work to prevent bed sores. Lastly, are a collection of very expensive automated cushioning devices that operate by teeter-tottering a patient from side to side. These devices use bulky control boxes connected by wires and tubes and are difficult for users to manage. And while they do somewhat work at treating existing bed sores, their technology is limited and far too costly to be rolled out broadly in care facilities across the country. Wave Therapeutics prevents bed sores, slashes treatment costs, and eliminates those costly business liabilities I spoke of in the last slide. Our solution uses disruptive technology that combines alternating pressure with sequential compression, two clinically proven therapies into our smart, affordable devices. And by adding sensor arrays, communication capabilities, and a powerful analytics platform, Wave provides real-time patient monitoring and actionable data to inform better patient care and outcomes. You can see our patented pending peristaltic pumping action at work in the pressure map to the right. All of this joined together make our products the most powerful bed sore prevention devices available. As shown in dozens of studies, including key research documented in the Journal of Rehabilitation Research and Development, alternating pressure is proven therapy for the treatment of bed sores that reduces pressure hotspots, improves tissue reperfusion, and helps increase localized blood flow. Sequential compression has also been tested again and again. A study published in the European Journal of Vascular and Endovascular Surgery indicates an increase in venous blood return while reducing the risks of DVTs and other clotting disorders. Combined together, these two therapies can improve patient outcome while significantly reducing healthcare costs and liabilities. We've surrounded this therapeutic technology with an array of sensors advanced processing power, and leading edge communications capabilities that empower both users and clinicians to make better treatment decisions. Think about what Ring and Nest did for doorbells and thermostats. Wave is doing exactly the same for cushioning devices. Now, the leading static pad sells for almost $400 and is nothing more than a blow-up air pillow that just sits there. The leading automated pad is even worse. It costs 10 times as much, has no smarts, and just teeter-totters patients from side to side. Wave is the only product that can offer effective prevention at an affordable price. Since our inception, Wave Therapeutics has continually made impressive strides forward. We've created 8 generations of prototypes and nearly completed our manufacturing processes for our MVP wheelchair cushion. We've recently signed a major contract with the Veterans Health Administration, and we're set to soft launch in as few as 8 weeks. Following the completion of our current fundraising round, we'll be able to fully launch by third quarter of this year and then start the work of designing our next products, including our full mattress toppers, items for the surgical suite, and even our automotive, airline, and consumer products. We've assembled the team needed to bring this venture to success. As the founder of Wave, I lead our innovation efforts. Before entering healthcare, my first career was in global information technology, where I led European business consulting efforts for one of the largest tech companies in the world. Dr. Ricardo Vasquez, our Chief Medical Officer, is a board-certified vascular surgeon with his own surgical clinic. Bill Haber, our COO, is a commercialization expert and an experienced business leader with 9 startups under his belt. Sharon Bussard is our business manager who keeps our books tight and manages our lean burn rate. Well, that's Wave Therapeutics in a nutshell. Thank you for your interest. My contact information is to the right, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Jessica, thank you so much for being here and for sharing with us about Wave Therapeutics. I'm going to invite our audience members to put any questions that they may have for Jessica and Wave Therapeutics, and in the Q&A, we would love to take your questions. In the meantime, I have a couple of my own that we'll start with. So you showed us some data from a couple of previous studies, and I would like to know, or tell me a little bit more about how you think those previous studies translate to an improvement in your product over the current offerings and can lead to better outcomes.
Excellent question. Thank you for that, Katie. So first of all, I want you to know that when we were doing the development of this product, we reached out to some of the leading researchers in the space of pressure ulcer prevention and wound care to seek their advice and guidance. Universally, we were told that, that because the science is so well established for alternating pressure and sequential compression, that it just made logical sense that the combination of the two would provide greater return than either of those individually. Now, of course, that's an educated guess, right? And our first task is to put that hypothesis to the test. So we've got a clinical study teed up with the Veterans Health Administration. We're teeing up a second one with University of Pittsburgh's Human Engineering Research Labs, and we're in discussion with a third provider, the Regan Street Institute in Indianapolis, to help us with a third study. So we'll be able to validate those claims very quickly.
Great. We look forward to seeing those study results. That's exciting. So a couple of questions around kind of your financial plan / model and how will you generate revenue? Let's start there.
Great. So we see this as a B2B opportunity with a huge value proposition for the long-term and acute care marketplace. As everyone in the room knows, facilities are regularly ranked on their preventable pressure ulcer activities. And unfortunately, this is one space where incidents are on the rise across the country. With Wave Therapeutics, we can directly address those huge costs. So right now, long-term care across the nation, about 20% of patients in those facilities will develop some kind of a pressure injury every year. 5% of those patients will go on to experience a pressure sore that's significant enough to require outside intervention or even hospitalization. The average cost of that treatment is $44,000 per incident. And the facilities are on the hook for those treatment costs. In addition, this is the second leading reason why those facilities are sued for medical malpractice, with average damages being $250,000. With numbers like that, Wave can provide facilities an ROI of between 6 and 2 months for purchases of our products. So we see that as an obvious opportunity to make some money.
So just for clarification's sake, I think you answered this a little bit in that answer, but who are your customers primarily?
We're going to lead with long-term and acute care, of which we've got a relationship in place with the largest healthcare network in the United States, the Veterans Health Administration. So we've already got our biggest customer excited and interested in putting money on the table for our technology. In addition to that, we will offer a B2C opportunity, selling direct via web sales and selling through DME providers across the country. We have already begun discussions with some of the leading distributors and GPOs in this space.
Great. And a secondary follow-up question to that, specifically for your B2C market, will this qualify as a medical device and will it be covered by Medicare?
So we intend to go to market as a 510K exempt product, and we intend to go to market using existing HCPCS codes for these type of wheelchair cushions. But a strategic plan that we've got is, after we get our clinical data in place, we're going to advocate that the FDA reclassify us as a Class 2 product requiring clinical studies. And we feel like that will allow us to justify a higher reimbursement rate than we're going to enter the market with, and it'll provide a significant barrier to entry for any follow-on competitors that might want to come steal our thunder.
Great. And you led me right into my next question, actually, from one of our, actually our chief medical officer here at AngelMD. How strong is the IP and what prevents others from bringing forward similar but not identical devices?
Excellent question. So, your IP is only as good as the lawyer that puts it together, unfortunately. And in our case, we've got a heavy hitter in this space. Our patent attorney is currently about 80% of his work he does for Caterpillar. And I figure if he's good enough for one of the largest companies in the world, he's good enough for me. We've got our IP protected in the United States, Canada, Europe, and we've also got a placeholder for rest of world. But quite frankly, we might not leverage that last just because it's so difficult to protect IP in rest of world.
All right. And one question relative to your future studies. Are any of your studies going to include a comparison between the Wave Therapeutics product and existing solutions? And they want to know also, is it going to be a randomization of patients, so a randomized controlled trial?
So because we are a small company, we can only invest so much money in studies. So initially, we're going to be looking at treatment of existing sores using a smaller population. But as we have a longer positioning in the market, we're going to begin longitudinal studies that are more randomized and include larger populations. Now, in any event, we are going to include competitive products in our studies so that we'll be able to let clinicians know exactly how much better we are than those generic foam cushions that most of their patients are currently sitting on.
All right, so one last question for you around kind of market and typical patients that might use this. One question was, do you see an application for this product in patients with spinal cord injuries? And then a second question around a possible market expansion into the office market for those of us who are sitting on Zoom all day and may need this. A funny thing that those of you in the audience don't know, but Mike and I, as we were prepping with Jessica earlier today, Mike said, when do I get my cushion? Sitting on all these Zoom calls all day. So it led perfectly into that question for sure.
Been sitting in this chair for 7 hours today, so I can just tell you that. Please.
Yes, so of course, spinal cord injury patients are definitely targets for our technology, as is anyone dealing with a mobility impairment kind of issue or concurrent multiple medical conditions that might impact circulatory systems. Regarding other product opportunities, we've already had discussions with leaders in the automotive and airline space, and we're looking at opportunities to license our technology for luxury automotives and for airline seating to help protect people from DVTs during long flights. We'd even like to launch a line of consumer products aimed at the same, long haul commuters, folks that drive an hour each way to work, call centers, employees, executives, and long haul truckers. So we see a huge opportunity for this technology.
Great. Jessica, thank you again for being here tonight. We really appreciate you telling us all about Wave Therapeutics. This is very exciting technology.